Happy Monday, Bengals fans, and welcome in to Cincinnati Bengals Talk. Hopefully you had a lovely weekend and free agency getting ever so near. In this video, I'm going to hit on Jessie Bates because, well, Jessie Bates is probably going to be franchise tagged, plus the latest on the Bengals offensive line in their pursuit to fix it because there's some national rumblings that you're certainly going to want to hear about and like. I think you're going to like them ahead of free agency, which opens next week. But first, a quick reminder to hit that subscribe button and tell all of your fellow Bengals fans about Cincinnati Bengals Talk because we've grown a lot. We've grown a ton. Thanks to you. Thanks to the Bengals for being relevant. And we're going to bring you the best coverage during free agency right here on YouTube and all offseason long, not just free agency, combine, and so much more in the books now. So it'll be free agency, it'll be the draft, it'll be all things offseason right here on CBT Cincinnati Bengals Talk. And let's dive in first with Jessie Bates. He's going to get the franchise tag. They're going to place the franchise tag on him. Maybe by the time you see this, it happens, but it's a March 8th deadline. That's Tuesday if you weren't aware. Going to make somewhere around $13 million in 2022 if they don't get a long-term deal done. I just don't think it's going to get done this week before that deadline. I think that Jessie Bates' agent, David Mulugaleta, I think he, along with Bates, they're asking for maybe not safety one money, but top of the market money. And the Bengals, they look at it and they say, well, Jessie, you had a career low in tackles, career low in passes defensed, 88 tackles, 4 passes defensed, career low in interceptions, 1 interception. Are you really going to ask for the same amount of money you did last offseason? And I sort of get it if I'm the Bengals. Do you want to pay Jessie Bates $18 million right now? Probably not. And so that's the part, that's the balance, that's the give and take that I think they're trying to work through. Both sides want to be in Cincinnati, right? The Bengals want Bates in Cincinnati, and Bates wants to be in Cincinnati. It isn't that simple sometimes. So I think it's headed towards the franchise tag. What it would do is it would extend the window that the Bengals can negotiate with Bates until I think July 15th. So mid-July is what I've been told. I'm gonna guess July 15th would be that date, and maybe that's the route they go. But obviously, Bates keeping him is a priority. The Bengals going to keep him. They'll tag him, but obviously fixing the offensive line is as big of a priority, a bigger priority, and rightfully so. And that goes hand in hand with a bunch of different reports. And so here's the thing. On YouTube, I'm going to do there'll be quick updates that we'll do throughout free agency and stuff, but I haven't done those yet. So this is why you need to follow allbengals.com as well, because I can do quick hitting articles for you, and I'll tweet them out at James Rapien. We'll link them throughout free agency in our posts here. But just so you know, so you can be all the way up to date on things, because I can turn out an article in a couple of minutes. Video takes a little bit longer, and we'll do lives and things like that, instant reactions, all of those things. But one thing I wrote about over the weekend is all of these different rumblings, and the Ryan Jensen stuff keeps coming up and keeps coming up. But here's the problem, and Jeremy Fowler and Dan Graziano did a good job of laying this out. It's not just the Bengals. There are a lot of teams that want Jensen, including his current team, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. And so the Bengals need to be prepared for this, because I think they have this plan of releasing Trey Hopkins, going after one of these top centers in free agency, and fixing that issue. And it sounds good. But what if Ryan Jensen gets a $15 million per year offer? And that's the part. How much is too much? What's too much? And what's the plan if you don't have that first one, if you don't get Jensen, if you have to settle for Bozeman, or maybe you don't want Bozeman, and even though there's been reports that you're linked to him. Another guy that the Bengals have been linked to, according to ESPN, Laken Tomlinson, 30-year-old guard. I like him. I think if you could bring him in, that would be from the 49ers. That would be a huge get. And that's the thing that I'm curious to see, because there's all these rumors and reports about interior offensive linemen. Well, the Bengals historically have never prioritized interior offensive linemen. They should, of course. We saw it, this past season. 70 sacks. A lot of those came from the interior. A lot of their issues on short yardage, 3rd and 1, 4th and 1 situations came because of the interior of the line. And so not a shock that that's the route they could go. But I'm still in the, all right, I'll believe it when I see it. But I do expect it to happen, if that makes sense. So there's a lot of ties there. It's like, yeah, we'll see. I expect them to do that because I think it's logical, and they've made a lot of logical moves in recent years. And I think that's going to be the next one where they go after some of these guys. And it's wild. I mentioned the Graziano and Fowler report, and I wrote this. You can check this out on allbengals.com. And I'm going to read just an excerpt of what, and you could check out their entire piece that recaps the entire league and all of those things. But if you only want to see the Bengals part, or at least part of it, I'm going to read an excerpt from this. They wrote, "Here's a thing that would have sounded silly 2 combines ago. Free agents really want to play for the Bengals. Burrow has changed everything about that franchise, and players want to go play with him. The Bengals need major help on the offensive line and in the defensive secondary, and depending on what happens with their own free agents, they could need help at defensive tackle as well. But only 3 teams have spent more than Cincinnati has in free agency over the past 2 off seasons, and the Bengals no longer seem to be afraid to use that route to improve their team." No, I totally agree with that, and that's the part of it. If you're Ryan Jensen, do you take $15 million to be the center for the Buccaneers, or maybe it's $15 million to be the center for Zach Wilson and the Jets, another team that's been tied to him, or is $13 million enough to join Joe Burrow and join this offense and join a team that could be a Super Bowl contender for years and years and years if they do things right this offseason from an offensive line standpoint? That's the part of it that's fun to me, is you now have this quarterback that's fun to play with, that everyone seems to like and gravitate towards. And you have a track record as an organization of identifying free agents that fit your system, your scheme on offense, on defense, and they work. Even on the offensive line, Quentin Spain, they got a decent amount out of him, considering they signed him midseason in 2020, right? They got something out of Riley Reef until he got injured. Like, it's not like they've whiffed on these guys. And so outside of Trey Waynes, who I expect to be cut, by the way, that's pretty easy. They're going to save $10.8 million. But outside of him, they've gotten it right. And so if you're a veteran, and we know how tough free agency can be on some of these teams that just struggle to identify who they should sign and find the right fit and everything. The Bengals find the right fit, and they go after the right guys. And so, yeah, I mean, the Ryan Jensens of the world, the James Danielses of the world, the Austin Corbett's of the world, all of these guys. And I'll have an off-season plan later this week that breaks down what I would do, exactly what I would do, and then different scenarios. That'll be a little bit of a longer video. I'm excited to do it, though. So, yeah, that's the latest. But the fact that the Bengals have spent, they have that track record, they've hit much, much more than they've missed in free agency, that matters. If I'm a free agent, that matters to me. Plus Burrow. Plus they have cap space. And Duke Tobin said it last week. You watched it. You need to check out all of the combine videos we had, exclusives with Tobin, with Pollock, all in one spot here for you on Cincinnati Bengals Talk, including our conversation with Joe Goodberry. But the thing that Tobin kept saying was, well, the money has to fit. We do think we're an attractive destination, but the money has to fit. And I totally agree. I think the money's going to be able to fit with some of these guys. We'll see which ones. We're going to have a ton for you. Already have multiple videos up here that we're going to put on camera and get to you right here on Cincinnati Bengals Talk. So if you missed any of our other videos right now, the combine stuff, like I said, a 40-plus minute conversation with Joe Goodberry, very podcast style, breaking down free agency, so much more. Check those out. And buckle up, hit that subscribe button, ring the bell, because we're going to have lives for you. We're going to have plenty of videos for you, the latest news, rumors, and so much more during what will be, at least I'm anticipating, a wild, wild free agency process for the Bengals as they try to make a push towards Super Bowl 57. For our editor and channel manager, Andrew Fox Miller, I'm James Rapien, signing off for now right here on Cincinnati Bengals Talk.